Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Redolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Redolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Sorry about the mess. The scavenger was super rude to me.
Ooh, mystery woman in a hood? My favorite stories all start like this.
I guess I can dispense with the hood.
Cordelia?
Hello, Spike.
And welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer. Have you heard of it? A podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and tangential stories, one by one, spoiler free. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs, and it's good to be back.
I don't think I've ever seen you have this much energy not in front of a live audience. I almost feel like I should stand up and start clapping or whooping or something.
I've been conserving my life force for many months now, Kristen.
I am Kristen Russo, and this week, hey, we're fucking back, baby. We are talking about the debut episode of the 9-part Audible series called Slayers, a Buffyverse Story. Jenny, you're not writing songs for this, I don't think, but should you be so inspired, I'm sure the people would love it.
Anything could happen. So I might, get the itch. We'll see what happens. This episode was written by Amber Benson. You know her. You love her. And Christopher Golden. It was directed by Amber Benson and Christopher Golden and co-directed and produced by Casey Wayland. It originally aired on October 12th, 2023.
Just about 1 month before your 42nd birthday. Listen, I just get to make up this is the one where it's because it cannot be underestimate. No, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a big deal that we are in current time. I don't even know that we know how to do this. We have never spoken about a show together that is airing at that moment. The closest we've come is Yellow Jackets, but this one is just right here, right now, baby. So I've got no IMDb's, nothing to go on. I'm just going to say this is the one where it's 12 years after the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the television series. Spike is undercover in LA. There's a new Slayer named Indira. Cordelia Chase returns. Clem is here. Fucking Drusilla is in an alternate reality with Anya, but also Anyanka maybe is in this reality, and someone called Giles. How did I do?
You did beautifully.
What did I forget? I'm sure I forgot something.
Well, okay, 12 years after the finale. So it's 2015. Fedoras are on the way out.
Says queer hosts Jenny and Kristen.
Fedora. We all breathe a collective sigh of relief.
Yeah, seriously.
The brims are growing wider. Pant waistlines are inching higher. It's a very exciting time to be alive.
Wow. 2015. 2015, Jenny, is actually... Wait, so if this is 2015, which we actually don't technically know, we're going off of the fact that Spike says in episode it's about a dozen years. But 2015 is the year that we left and headed west to Los Angeles. So
where we started a podcast.
Oh my God, Jenny, do you think us starting the podcast was what created the shift, the universal
rift
shift
in space and time that allowed? Yes, correct. Yes.
Wow, I didn't think about any of that in my listen. I'm excited.
Should we start with big thoughts? Got any big thoughts?
Yeah. We are back in the Buffyverse. And okay, so here's my big thoughts on this episode. I got the most emotional when the theme hit and when Charisma Carpenter's voice hit my ears. Those were moments where I felt like I could weep kind of emotions. I think that this episode, I assume just like television, has the monumental lift of exposition, of like setting all of our listeners up for where we are, what is happening, who is related to who and how. And for that, I think it did a very good job. I am kind of seeing the characters that we might get recurring, apart from obviously the core ones. And overarchingly, I mean, it goes without saying, this is a story that was written in part by Ember Benson. This is bringing Cordelia Chase back into the universe after being written off in a way that much of the fandom is very upset with. This is badass. This is like if I had gone to bed and dreamt a dream of something cool that could happen to this story, it would have been this dream. So I am just stoked to get to dive into it with you, Jenny.
Yeah, I feel like in a way, okay, so like obviously like a pilot episode, a pilot season has like so much to do, but in a way, even though this is a world that's already established, maybe because this is a world and characters that are already established in our minds, this episode has more to do in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's a really good
just
point.
A straight up pilot, right? It's like, it's got to do all the work of a regular pilot and like introduce the concept and the characters, but also like convince us, get us on board, right?
Yeah. You have to like because it's doing the double lift, which is, I'm just kind of repeating what you're saying in another way. It's doing the lift of you're a new listener, right? Because you of course want this to be listenable by folks who might not know the whole backstory of Buffy. But then you're doing the double lift of if you already know these characters, I have to establish them so that you agree these are the same characters that you knew 12 years ago and explain everything that has gotten us to this point, or at least enough to get us into the story.
Tonally, this is so different in a lot of ways than what we're used to the stories in this universe feeling like. It's like, even though Angel spun off and was like kind of a noir, sort of semi-noir, it still had the same people writing the same kind of jokes.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And the same sort of like creative forces behind the scenes. Here we have new blood. We have a different kind of noir. This feels like very smoky and like a little less jokey than we're used to tonally. But there is still some whimsy.
That was the original tagline. It was Slayers, more smoky, less jokey.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point too of it being the pilot, I'm sure that we're going to get into a place with our coverage of these episodes where we will have listened to more than just one. But as of this recording, we've only heard one. And so I do wonder too if, clearly different writers, different kinds of jokes or what have you, but if you're limited to a certain amount of time per episode and you've got to fit all this fucking story in, there's also a good chance that there's just not enough room for a lot of those quips and other sorts of things. So
will it get quippier? Maybe, but maybe it's just not that kind of story. And I'm interested in, either either answer
Yeah.
to that
Me too.
question.
Then LaToya Ferguson, who is, of course, producing this with us, I think asked a really good question in her notes, which is just what are we wanting from this? Which, I don't even know. And LaToya said, apart from obviously justice for Cordelia Chase, which is
we all want justice for Cordelia.
Yeah.
But what else do we want? I want a good time. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I'm already winning here. I'm already back with old friends. It's always great to see them or hear them, as the case may be.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped. I mean, it's really tough to say what's what right now because we just have like the first little nibble of the story, and I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going to happen.
And this is, and I've said this before, I'm sure in a million podcasts, but this is my favorite part about traversing in the sci-fi fantasy space is that like no door is ever shut. You can always find a way to reopen doors in universes like these. And so I'm really excited. I also would like to have fun. I think Clem might be the fun MVP of this episode and probably is going to wind up being the fun MVP of the 9 episodes. James Leary just absolutely, I felt like Clem was sitting in the room with me. He just does such a phenomenal job, and he really is the one doing the most lift in terms of like bringing lightness to the fore. So I'm sure that he'll be doing that for episodes to come. I want to say big picture, I'm also like absolutely stoked to find out about this fucking door in the magic box. Like really, really want to know more about that and hoping to get, I assume we're going to get some more history because we know some of the plot points and some of the like story points by the first episode, but we don't know all of them. And the magic box and its evolution is one that I really, really, really cannot wait to learn more about.
Yeah. So we opened with a violin. Kristen, did it remind you of anything?
Oh, it did. I saw Angelus and Darla, Drusilla and Spike walking through the fire as soon as I heard those strings.
Oh, me, I see Angel in an alley covered in dirt with a ponytail, unable to even catch a rat for himself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then also, even though I know this isn't accurate, when I try to think of the melody that the violin is playing, the only melody that I can conjure in my mind is do 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 do.
Yeah, same. It's Morgan's fault. Morgan did it to us.
Yeah.
But I thought this was, you, I think, deserve more space here for talking about the music, obviously being a musician, but I thought that the like strings into the electric guitar did a good job of sort of like moving forward through time, which I think was the purpose of the choice.
Yeah. And one thing I can definitely say for this medium is, at least if you're me, if you're listening on like over the ear headphones that have plenty of low end, you are getting a part of James Marsters' voice that maybe you've never even heard before. The low resonance is like really, really captured and coming through in a way that probably you don't get as richly in the way that television is audiophied, the way that they're recording sound as they're shooting or doing VO, and the way you're hearing it out of your like laptop speakers, for example. Or your TV speakers of 1997 to 2003.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good thing to touch on just in broad strokes is, Jenny, you listen to a lot more podcast and audio drama.
Kristen, famously a podcast hater this day.
Yeah, I'm really being dragged into a genre that I tried to avoid here. But no, I really don't. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. It's just not a medium that I soar with. However, that's not really the case when there's a narrative to it. Like I can listen to an audiobook and a story. It's more just podcasts. Like I would never listen to this podcast. Never, no way. I do because that's my job. But I wonder, since you have so much more experience than me, Jenny, in audioscapes, what you thought just generally of some of the sound design here and some of the use of sound effects.
Yeah, I think that there's some really great stuff going on. I feel like close to the top of the episode, I was like, wow, there's there's really a lot going on in this bar fight / casino thing. That is like, I think, a hard thing to pull off, but I definitely felt like I was in the middle of it. Usually the audio fiction that I listen to is usually like single narrator plus spooky music. That's where I tend to go, although I have in the last like year or so I've listened to a bunch of Audible originals, and people listening to this and people who love Buffy might really enjoy Impact Winter, which is sort of a vampire centric story that just released its second season pretty recently. Is awesome. Cool. And even in like Impact Winter, even though it has like as ensemble-y, I think, as a cast as this does, it's more sort of isolated. They're not doing a lot of big sort of like crowded room scenes. It's more sort of like quiet, meditative, like maybe a few people are together at once, but for the most part it's kind of like these one-on-one kind of things where you're not having to create an entire space in somebody's mind just using audio. But I think they're doing a really nice job.
Yeah, I mean, I was overwhelmed. Like, I was like, definitely felt like I was in the middle of a bar fight. So I guess good job on that sense.
Yeah,
but I loved the behind closed doors sort of vibe. Like when Clem comes and pulls Spike to the other room, the door opening, the muffled sounds behind it.
That's all giving us like this huge sense of space. I think that they're anticipating too a lot of people coming over who maybe aren't used to listening to audio fiction, who are Buffy fans, who want more Buffy stories. And so I feel like we're getting a little more like hand-holding audio-wise, like watch where you're throwing that fiarl or whatever, you know, like which somebody might not necessarily say if they were witnessing a fiarl on two ginger vampire bar fight. But which, you know, they're giving us plenty of cues to let us know what's happening where.
All right, so you already said we start with a voiceover. The
Spike's
dulcet...
been a bad boy.
Cue Faith in Buffy's body because it's wrong.
Exactly,
very much the vibe here.
We are so happy. We're so happy. This is a shade of Spike that we haven't seen in a while. You know, I mean, maybe we haven't ever seen this precise shade of Spike, but when last we saw Spike, he was doing his measuring contest with Angel in an ongoing sense, which, you know, we love to see. We love to see Boreanaz and Marsters trying to like out simp each other for Buffy. Absolutely love it. But it's a very different flavor than what we're getting here. This is like harkening back to classic Spike. Like once we started to get actual character development from Spike and not the sort of just like looming big bad kind of vibe, this is like the toothy stuff that I love. Totally. I'm so happy that he's our opening narrator. If we have to get a huge dump truck of exposition, this is how I want it.
Absolutely. Before like tapping into some of that exposition, I just want to say that one of the lines that I picked out from Spike in this episode that I have a feeling is going to be like the ongoing question is there's sort of this, are you the Spike who sort of answers to Buffy, or are you the like evil vampire poet? I love that poet was still part of that. Like, you guys, we've heard Spike's poetry. It's not good, but that's beside the point. But I do think that, like, you know, we met Spike as evil Spike with Drew. We saw Spike go through this huge evolution. And now the narrative here in episode 1 is telling us Spike is undercover. He's playing for the good team. Of course he is. He's the Spike that we last saw where you said we saw him.
He's been a good boy.
But I thought, wouldn't it be fun if we, the listeners, the former viewers, now listeners, are forced to reckon with this question again. You know, like, we know Drusilla's here. We get some back and forth with Spike and Clem on what love is like, what his love with Drew is like, what his love with Buffy is like. And so there's a part of me that hopes that we're playing a bit with the nature of Spike again, because it is, I think it's an open-ended question, especially if Drusilla is here.
It's interesting, but he's got a soul now, Kristen.
I know. He's got a chip. He had a chip, then he got rid of the chip, then he got a soul. Now he's fighting the good fight. But like, what if I know we've never seen this before, Jenny, but what if he loses his soul?
Oh. Uh-oh.
I know. I mean, it's a wild concept. I know I'm introducing something new into the
vampire
conversation.
who regained his soul, losing his soul sounds fake.
Yeah.
So Spike's take on present day is that being evil has lost a bit of its luster because there are just so many. You can't walk down the street without tripping over another vampire slayer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard out there for evil beings.
Yeah, he's running this, or not running this, I guess, but just as a major figure at this underground club. This is Friends of Darkness. Is that the name of the club, or that's just the name
Friends
of
of Darkness?
Friends of Darkness.
I believe Friends of Darkness refers just to
the people.
Evil types.
Okay. And at this club, it's we've seen spaces like this in the Buffyverse before, where it's like where the demons gather to like watch demons fight other demons, and they place bets, and you can imagine
or
what the
watch
vibe
their
is.
crocodile program.
Yeah, exactly. And he also gives us a taste of this resistance, the resistance. It's centered in Los Angeles, and this is the resistance against the Slayers. Now, there's a lot of them, but of course, wherever there's a lot of Slayers, there are clearly going to be a lot of demons who are plotting against them so that they can regain their throne as evil people on the top of the underground. That's why I didn't write this.
Evil people on the top of the underground.
Yep, a series
That's Friends of Darkness, evil people on the top of the underground.
Stay tuned for an Audible original by Kristen Russo.
I was going to say, it's actually wild that Kristen didn't write this.
Okay. So we talked about the bar
there's
fight.
also, it's important to, like, a big part of Spike's current undercover work is that he has perpetuated a rumor that Buffy did mind control on him, and that's why he was doing good works for a while.
I mean, some could say being in love is one form of mind control, you know?
For sure.
We get this fight. There's a lot of, I will say, and this I think is probably part of storytelling where you only are using audio. There's a lot of accents. There's just a wild amount of accents. And I imagine that that's a choice made to really help the listener differentiate between characters. But as
Kristen, if I started listening to Buffering the Vampire Slayer today, it would probably be about a month before I could tell us apart.
I know. When we go back to the original episodes, there are comments of like, how can you tell them apart? And like, now we're like,
women, they're all the same.
But, we get there's a Fjarl fighting some ginger vamps. Spike's put money down on it. He owes the winner money and yada, yada. But, like, who cares? Because Clem has come in to the bar to pull Spike to the back room. And this is where we learn that there is a Penthos demon who Penthos demons, I don't know. I didn't look this up, actually. I don't know if that's a new demon to the Buffyverse or not. Jenny's typing, so she'll find out for us. But in this episode, we learn that a Penthos demon is a demon that feeds off of the misery of others. It's sort of like the emotional vampire from What We Do in the Shadows, just cranked up a couple clicks.
Yeah, I just did a cursory Googling for like a little double check. I'm not seeing any Penthos demons come up. The top results when I Google Penthos demon Buffy are Der Kindestad,
fan favorite,
De Hofferen.
Oh, true fan favorite.
And Giles as a Fjarl demon.
Nice. Well, Miranda is the Penthos demon that we're going to meet, and we learn before we even meet Miranda that this particular Penthos demon has killed every single member of one of these Slayer's family. Gwen is the Slayer, and she's in the hospital, and there's some Slayers guarding her, but she has been through a lot of trauma.
Okay, and so Miranda's looking for somebody to take out the Slayer bodyguards that are guarding the Slayer Gwen, who's currently in the hospital in San Diego because Miranda wants to go feed on this misery she's cultivated so carefully. Kristen.
Yes, Jenny.
When Clem and Spike pass from, Fight Club in the front to the dark place in the back, which is another way of saying mullet, I did not yet have the script in front of me, and I was just listening, and I listened several times, and I thought that I thought Spike referred to Miranda as the bow-legged one by the bar, and I was like, that is such a particular choice. I have like a bow-legged in my notes 3 times.
As you can now see, he says leggy brunette, not bow-legged. But I'm glad that you didn't have the script, so you got that moment of confusion. I would like to say that Miranda is played by Juno Dawson. Juno Dawson has done a literal ton of shit. But Jenny, for you, I'm going to end on the thing you'll be most excited about. Juno Dawson is a trans woman. She wrote the book. This book is gay. It sounds so close to my book.
Oh my gosh.
Book. This is a book for parents of gay kids. Juno Dawson and I, very similar titlers of our books.
Mm-hmm.
She also just released the first of an adult fantasy trilogy that has gotten incredible reviews called Her Majesty's Royal Coven. Telegraphing to the Buffering Book Club, like this will be going on the list because I'm really curious about it.
Yeah.
Jenny, she also hosts. She's the co-host of a podcast, and it's about a show that you particularly love. So I wondered if you wanted to take a guess.
I already looked at her Wikipedia article, so I'm going to guess that the show you're trying to accuse me of loving is Sex and the City, which is inaccurate. Oh, I do love that vibraphone, though.
Yeah, I was so excited when I saw this because in our X-Files universe, Jenny has been 1 week at a time writing Carrie Bradshaw diary entries, but from Scully. And I was like, wow, the overlap here is strong. So I was real excited to tell you about the Sex and the City podcast that Juno Dawson hosts.
Incredible. So Miranda.
Oh, Miranda. Wow, a Sex and the City name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Miranda, as you mentioned before, asks Spike, which one's the real you? The lapdog or the savage poet? The Slayer lover or the Slayer killer? Kristen, I have a question for you. Fuck, marry, kill. Lapdog, savage poet, bow-legged woman by the bar.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. Savage poet, lapdog, bow-legged woman at the bar. I'm going to fuck the savage poet. I'm going to kill the lapdog, and I'm going to marry the bow-legged woman at the bar. What about you? I don't want a lapdog. A lapdog seems like a great idea for a minute, and then you just have a lapdog, you know?
You're like, I want my lap autonomy.
Yeah, I would like to get up and move around. Thank you.
Okay.
But I think a savage poet would be a good time in bed. You know what I mean?
Okay.
By these criteria, we are saying that William the Bloody was a savage poet, or Spike was it seems like William was a poet and Spike was savage. I don't know that there was ever a savage poet in
He contains multitudes, Kristen. Let him.
It's true. Okay, so these two are flirting very heavily. Miranda, you're easy on the eyes.
Thick in the air.
Yes. Miranda, you're easy on the eyes, so I guess I'll bite. Spike, I kind of hope you do. Great. We love to see it. We get the plan that, Jenny, you already mentioned. Miranda wants Spike to go in and help her get back. I'm wondering, I really big picture, I'm wondering if there's going to be a twist for Miranda as well, because it just seems... The question of why are you going to all of this trouble just to get the misery from this Slayer is a question that I do not feel has been answered. So I'm going to leave space for that question to be answered in a more complex way because I don't really get it. I think there's plenty of misery for Miranda.
I want to know if there is going to be more than meets the eye to Clem's obsession with grape soda, because grape soda is the star of this episode. Grape soda is in every scene.
It's true.
What's up with grape soda? Also, Kristen, grape soda or orange soda?
Orange soda, 1,000%. I cannot fuck with grape soda. What about you?
Okay. One of each, please.
What? You're not choosing?
No,
This
I love
is
them
just
both.
like when Mallory and Joanna were podcasting about Yellow Jackets, and Mallory asked Joanna to pick which part of a body she would eat first, and then Mallory left her hanging. Same vibes.
And Mallory was correct.
Wow. Hashtag Team Joanna. Okay. Did you know though, sidebar, in the grape soda arc, in the narrative arc of grape soda in this episode, we hear Clem talking about how all he wants is to have Frank's fizzy grape soda again.
Uh-huh.
That's a real soda, but it's like you cannot, it's gone. It's like a grape.
I sensed there was no way that detail was not about a real soda.
Yeah, it was like, it took me a lot. Like I wasn't there with my microfiche or anything, but it was not a cursory Google kind of a search. Frank's was a soda company or a pop company, depending on how you want to spin it, in Philadelphia in the 1940s. And I saw some of the like cans of the soda, and it's really fucking cool. So I'm just saying, like, if there's any way for us to legally make a Frank's fizzy grape soda t-shirt, I would like to do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, with a Boston Terrier mascot, you say?
Yes, exactly. All right.
Just when everyone's eviling onward at a nice zippy clip, in busts a fresh new vampire slayer no one has seen before, because someone's like, never seen her before. Which, is fair, because how else are they going to let us know?
Yeah. I like the idea of them like flipping through their Slayer catalog and being like, no, this one wasn't in the most recent issue. She must be fresh. We meet Indira. Indira is a 16-year-old Slayer that we learn shortly after her entrance into the bar has been activated, as Spike says, over her Wheaties this morning. She's
Incredible.
Also a huge fan of Slayers, which LaToya had a note of like, the writing of this character as someone who's a fan of the universe does a service for us, the listeners, if we are fans. I love the choice. Like, personally, I think it's really fun. I love the idea of this high school girl who's just like, wow, I've heard about all these Slayers and they're so cool. And like reading up on them and the bars and the secrets of the underground, and then all of a sudden becoming a Slayer and like losing her fucking mind. So either I like it because I like it unbiased, or I just like it because it's working on me. I can't tell.
Yeah.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. Did you know that your body starts accumulating senescent cells as early as your 20s? Also called zombie cells. These cells stop producing collagen and hyaluronic acid like they used to, and start secreting an inflammatory substance that makes neighboring cells dysfunctional too. There is an answer for these zombie cells though, and it comes from our friends at OneSkin. OneSkin was founded by an all-woman team of scientists and is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular senescence, a key hallmark of aging, with their proprietary OS1 peptide. It's scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. And for a limited time, you can try OneSkin and get 15% off using our code BUFFERING when you check out at oneskin.co. I've been using OneSkin's OS1 face and eye topicals for months now, and I have seen undeniable results. My skin feels healthier, and brighter. I'm a big fan of their products, and I'm happy to recommend them. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Okay, so Indira tussles with Spike. Indira gets cracked in the skull with a chair. Miranda says she's gonna eat Indira's face.
I did love that choice for a line. I was like, okay, we're gonna go there.
Yeah. Effective.
Indira, played by Leia DeLeon Hayes. This is an incredible, listen, everyone's doing a great job here, but there are some of these voice actors that just absolutely knock me off my feet with how much emotion they communicate with, just a handful of lines here and there. Clearly, Indira has a lot of lines in this episode, but I just think that she's phenomenal and she's doing an incredible job. She is young, she's 16, but I think they set it up right away to let us know that she's young, but she can kick ass, and she's not going to take Spike's fucking nicknames and babysitting jokes. She's enough of you. I might be 16 and I might have a lot to learn, but you're not my fucking babysitter. Fuck off. So I'm here. I am a huge fan of Indira out of the gates.
Loving it. Spike refers to her as a little nugget.
I know. A little nugget, a baby slayer. He's got a whole bunch. He's spiking out. This is a place where, they're leaning into the Spike of yesteryear.
But he uses the concept that slayers and watchers can't be killed on the premises of this little nightclub as a way to take custody of Indira and get her out of there. Who do you think the proprietors of this business are?
Wolfram and Hart.
Oh my God.
It's just
Wouldn't that just be the thing?
Yeah, it's just Lindsay just still around leading this pub. This is also why I think there's got to be more of a twist for Miranda here, because I just didn't believe. Miranda's like, no, she's mine. And then she's like, oh, fine, take her. You know what I mean? It just feels like Miranda must have something else up her sleeves if she's wearing sleeves, which I can't tell because this is an audio drama. So Spike and Clem leave with Indira. They put Indira in the trunk. The sound effects I thought were great here of the trunk noises and the banging and her muffled voice and what have you. Jenny, I've already said how much I love James Leary in this. I love Clem and Spike. I've always loved Clem and Spike. I just want to play a sound clip of Clem and Spike talking in the car. This is after we learn, of course, about Clem's love for grape soda, but also that he loves yacht rock. So let's hear this little conversation.
Oh, please. Your look may be Sex Pistols, but your heart's Hall & Oates.
Sometimes I'd rather die than have you for a friend.
Best friend.
Christ.
Say it.
I will not.
That's okay. I still feel it.
It's cute. It's just cute.
Yeah, what a great pairing. So happy to have these two together for what seems like it might be the long haul of this series.
Clem also gets this line that's to Indira after they take Indira out of the trunk. And he says, "Hello, young slayer. My name is Clement." It just seems like a play on "Hello, fellow kids" to me. And shortly after, we get fucking Indira talking about following Slayer shit on Reddit, and Clem is like, "These teens and their angsty slang," and she's like, "It's not slang. It's just a website." Jenny, do you know anything about the history of Reddit? Do you know anything about where Reddit came from?
Educate me.
Well, it's clearly I assumed that some dude started this thing. And of course, Steve Huffman and Alexis Ohanian, whatever, who cares? I mean, I'm sure people care, but they were roommates and they were roommates. And
they were roommates.
In college, and they started Reddit. But the thing that really just blew me away was that in In 2014, when they were doing a huge round of fundraising, the investors included Snoop Dogg and Jared Leto, two of the first big investors into Reddit. And I was like, what? So
what Reddits do you think they were super active on at the time?
Snoop Dogg definitely.
Okay, Snoop Dogg was on r/weed, obviously.
Obviously.
And Jared Leto was probably on r/Jared Leto.
Oh, shit. Nailed it, Jenny. Fucking swish. I could put that swish sound effect in for Jenny Owen Young's right there.
Yeah, I'm just on r/Yellow Jackets. That's pretty much where I hang out.
Okay, so we get a little bit of Indira's backstory, like her home life.
Right. Her mom is not around. Her dad is in the military and is away. And she gets looked after by her grandpa, right?
Yeah, who's like asleep by now. And so she's just ready to go. She's ready to party, but she doesn't have a watcher and she doesn't know how to find one. And Spike, has his sensitive side. So he's like, okay, we'll take her. I know where to take her. My first listen, I was honestly a bit confused with this scene because I assume he said something about old and wrinkled. And so I just assumed we were going to Giles.
Rude.
No, not because I think Giles is old and wrinkled, but because I just assumed
Spike thinks.
Yeah, I assumed Spike would dig on Giles like that. And so we actually go to Xantina's. This is this character named Xantina, who is hails by accent from New York, but living in Los Angeles. And she
Natasha Lyonne as a watcher.
Yeah, exactly. She's a former watcher. She has a cat. She runs a market. She does not eat pizza on the West Coast, which I celebrate. No offense, same. West Coast, but it's not pizza. And she is written in the script as late 70s, an older New York Puerto Rican woman. I am in her first couple of lines, I definitely got some Rosie Perez energy. So checks out. And she basically is like, I'm not taking care of this kid. I just
because she's probably cheerful. Cheerful is not welcome in this store.
Right. This was just this scene confused me more than any of the other scenes. I didn't really, and maybe obviously maybe Xantina will work into the story in a way that we can't yet see. But I thought we were going to Giles. We do get Spike calling Giles from Xantina's, so we assume Giles will probably pop up in episode 2. But I didn't really learn anything from this scene that I felt I needed to learn. So question mark. I don't know how you felt about this, Jenny.
It feels like the main function of this scene is to tell us that Spike couldn't get a hold of Giles right away and that Spike is trying to offload this kid but isn't able to, and therefore, we're going to get Spike and Indira together for a little bit longer.
Oh my God. Okay, so like you just said, they leave Xantina's. They still have Indira. What are they going to do? They've got to get to poker. They've left a message with Giles. Spike says, it's Giles, young mind, ready to be molded by his wisdom. That's like catnip for him. And this is the first one when we learn there's a trapdoor, because he says if he hasn't heard from Giles in a few hours, then he'll use the trapdoor at the magic box to take him to Giles. So Giles is by time zone wise.
What does it mean?
Like time zone wise, Jenny, Giles is in London, right? Because he's saying or London, this, whatever. He's overseas because Spike says it's already 6 a.m. there or whatever. Mm-hmm. So does that mean
maybe the trapdoor at the magic box is just a little portal
that goes wherever you need it to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is powered by something that is a finite resource, so you don't want to just use it for just any old reason. That's my guess.
Like when you have a low battery on your iPhone and you really need to decide what you're going to look at and what you're not.
Yeah, you're like, I need to keep this maps directions thing up, but also I really need to look at Instagram.
I also really need to look at Reddit about Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go to poker, which is at Galaxy Books, a bookstore run by a character named Raheem. I am obsessed. This is my favorite location in the episode so far. I love everything about it.
populated by Dream Blunt Rotation, Buzz, the collective ghost of all hummingbirds who've ever died in Los Angeles, Raheem, a bookseller, Esther the scavenger, Clem, and Spike.
Incredible. The fucking, like, Esther the scavenger just being like, matter of fact, I eat roadkill. Like, that's my vibe.
I eat dead things.
Raheem just being like, I'm just a dude, actually. It's just my bookstore. And like, Clem promised he would stop eating kittens if I let him play here. So what have you. I loved when I heard Buzz talk about who she was, I was like, this might be my favorite new character in the universe. We're only in episode 1, but TBD. So let's just hear this. So Buzz is voiced by Denise Pickering. Raheem is Josh McClenny. Esther is Glenda Morgan Brown. They're doing a great job. Let's hear Indira and Buzz have a little back and forth about the hummingbirds.
Look, I just have to ask. Buzz, right?
They call me that? Yes.
When Clem said you're the death of hummingbirds, what does that actually mean? Do you hunt and kill them, or...?
Don't be absurd. I would never. I am they, and they are me. Hummingbirds. All of them.
Oh, yeah, that clears it up. Not at all.
She's the ghost.
She looks pretty alive to me.
I am hummingbirds. Everyone that ever lived and died. In the city, Los Angeles, all of them. Live fast, die young.
You're the... Wow.
Now you can say you know the collective unconscious of all the hummingbirds who've ever died in Los Angeles. Cool and creepy all at the same time, right, Indira?
Oh, Buzz.
Heady concept.
Oh, Buzz.
I'm feeling it. Clem is getting the best lines in the episode all over the place.
Yeah.
Nonstop. In the previous scene, when Indira asked him what's up with him and grape soda, he said, "We almost take our secret joys where we can find them." And here we find out that he enjoys the 50 Shades series. And when he's asked what's up with that, he says he's always been fascinated by the way toxic people can't escape each other's gravity, which naturally leads right into a conversation about Spike's dating history.
Yeah. We get... Drusilla mesmerized him for a century. Buffy Summers was his Death Star. What a poet. You know, the poet is fucking Clem.
Yeah, Clem
William
is a savage
wishes.
poet.
Yeah.
Yeah, William could never. I do love that Spike says love is like the 5 guys touching the elephant. It feels different depending on where you grabbed hold of it.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then he says he's done with love. He'll never love again. You couldn't. This is how I know Spike will be in love before the end of the season.
Totally. Narrator's voice. He would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just see where this all goes with the Spike and the love of it all. But again, we know Drusilla is right around the bend. So.
Yeah. Esther says dead things have dead hearts and dead hearts can't contain love. But we've seen Spike be in love.
And Spike kicks
Esther out of the game.
Yeah, like he's
like, don't tell me what I can't love.
Totally. And like, I feel like clearly he's upset, but this is one of the moments where I was like, would we have gotten even more of how upset this made him if we could also see it, you know? Because I think it's a big deal that he kicks Esther out of the game. And there's lines here to cue us to that, right? Like, but Esther's been here. What do you mean? Blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm not sure it like totally landed in like, maybe he wasn't supposed to be as upset as I think. But I just had this feeling that this idea that he can't love is something that really, really made him angry.
I think, you know what you're reminding me of, Kristen? When we interviewed James Marsters, The Great and Powerful, we had a conversation with him about theater acting versus television acting because his background was in theater. And then he was talking about how he would watch Anthony Head film scenes and he'd be like, well, he's not even doing anything.
Yeah.
And then he would, you know, see it on the screen and be like, oh, he's doing so much, but it's so subtle because he knows what the camera's going to capture and how close up on him it will be and how, you know, a tiny little eyebrow movement will read on TV in a way that it just simply can't in a theater setting. And this audio medium is very much more, I think, leaning in the theater direction, where you have to work with what you have. You don't have a visual, much in the same way that in theater, you don't have, control over how much detail and how much nuance an audience member can read on your face.
Yeah.
So like we're getting a very particular kind of performance that in this storytelling that I think is just, going to be interesting to kind of keep an eye on as we move forward.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So Esther leaves. She doesn't even protest. She's like, fuck you guys.
She walks out so slow.
She
it's like footstep. She's taking her time.
She is. She at first when I didn't have the script, I was like, oh, is Esther like walking with a cane? Because it was just like it was like slow and so much tapping. But then in the script I read, this is her boots dragging across the floor. She'll leave when she's ready to leave. Thank you very much. But then, oh no, there is a tussle, to put it lightly, happening outside. Indira's like, what is Esther doing? Raheem, if she's trashing my store, Clem, Esther wouldn't do that. Correct. Someone is here, and we hear Esther say, Slayer. She's a Slayer, and she wants to see Spike. What? Indira asking the question that any watcher of Buffy would have probably asked, is it Buffy? I'll freak out. We immediately established it is not Buffy, and this Slayer comes in a hood.
Clem is like, a mystery woman in a hood, and I'm like, honey, if you don't recognize that voice,
I know.
You've clearly never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff Angel.
What's incredible, Jenny, I don't know if you saw this, is that the script says, when Cordelia Chase speaks, at first we shouldn't necessarily know her voice. And I'm like, y'all.
There is no disguising
charisma.
my beautiful, beloved CC. Absolutely not.
Oh, let's I'm sure, we've gone through so many people we have jingles for, but we have other episodes. We'll get to all the jingles that we have, but we cannot get to the entrance of Cordelia Chase without playing her fucking jingle.
Cordelia, I love you, Cordelia. You're perfect, Cordelia.
Wow. This got me. The sound, the music, the sound effects, the charisma, all of it. I felt very emotional. And, we get some questions here. Cordelia, isn't she dead? And Spike says, yeah, the last time I saw her. So maybe she's a ghost. She's a demon. She's a shapeshifter. And he says he's going to kill her either way. Question mark, posture, what, why? Because I guess it's not the real Cordelia, so therefore it must be evil Cordelia. She calls him Spiky, Jenny, which I love. How do you feel about it?
I love it, but I'm like, when did this ever get established? Maybe with the Spike in her reality.
I could
what in their history created a precedent
oh my God,
that would lead her to call him Spiky.
Do you think that Cordelia and Spike had a sordid, knock the house down love affair in her reality? Oh, shit! We better add some slots and noms up there because I just said it out loud and now it's going in.
My God, and that's what she said. This Cordelia, she's not like other Cordelias, and by other Cordelias, I mean the one Cordelia that we know. She's not from around here.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not even from this reality. Where I live, I became the Slayer when I was 15. The one and only Slayer. Not like this world where you have enough to give away with every purchase at Sephora.
When they mention Buffy, if there was just one sentence that could sum up a certain era of Cordelia Chase, it would be, who is this Buffy person?
Clem says it. Plot twist. In Cordelia's reality, there was never a Buffy. She is the chosen one. In her reality, she also tells us Spike is already dead, and she's fighting to keep Sunnydale, to save Sunnydale and eventually the world from being overrun by vampires. And we're about to learn sort of how she got here, why she's here. Dun, dun, dun.
Kristen, she needs Spike's help specifically because the big bad in Cordelia's reality is somebody only Spike has ever really understood.
Oh, shit!
I'm breathing into a paper bag. Everything's going to be fine. Ring, ring. Magic box. Kristen, hold on to your butts.
Oh, I'm holding on to all of my butts.
It's Anya. My beautiful, my beloved, my number one fave. Anya is here.
Are we dropping her jingle?
She's at work.
She is. She basically is just about to hit the cash register to open that shit up.
Cha-ching! Hit it, bitch. And by bitch, I mean me.
She spent 1 millennium demonically vengeancing, speaks her mind and then some. You know she's partial to the finer things and down with double boyfriends, oh yeah. Exchanging cash for goods and also services. She'd love to hold the money for ya. She'll hold that cash. Just keep the bunnies far from Anya.
All right. She's got a puppy. This puppy needs to stop its yapping, honestly. A yappy guy.
Poor survival instincts, Jasper. Or good protective instincts, Jasper. But
oh, now I feel bad.
Didthedogdie.com.
Oh, no.
The person on the other end of the phone is barking up the wrong tree.
This is a funny choice. This is a funny choice.
Yeah, there's no Harry Potter merch at the Magic Box, friend.
Anya is so over it. She's like, she tries to be patient and a good customer service rep. And then 2 seconds in, she says, if you say another word, I will turn you into a lobster and boil you slow. And then after the person hangs up, she just says to Jasper, I hate people. Relatable content, Anya.
That does sound like something Anya would say. Okay, so in this scene, we find out she's in Cordelia's reality. She's the one who sent Cordelia to Spike's reality. She's opening up a scrying window. Who among us hasn't opened up a scrying window from time to time? Am I right, Kristen? But okay, who among us hasn't opened a scrying window, peeped our little eye up to it, and then been like, it's an evil version of me? I hate that feeling.
This is a huge question because at least right now we are to believe. I mean, maybe Anya looked into the wrong reality to see, because she sees Anyanka. But if she's looking into the reality where she sent Cordelia, and we are to believe that that is the same reality where we left off Buffy season 7, Angel season 5, Anyanka and Anya are deceased. They are not alive, which is what Anya in this dimension believed. She thought she was dead in this world. So what the fuck is going on there?
I don't know what's going on, but I want to know.
You think D'Hoffryn just fucking missed her too much? He fucking used some of his little magics to get Anyanka back.
Sure.
I guess we'll find out. But Anyanka senses that Anya is peeping at her through the scrying window, and Anya's
Don't you think evil you would sense?
Yeah. Anya slams shut the scrying window. And then, oh no. Oh, the sound effects cue says Jasper starts to whine and snuffle.
Oh no. And there comes a rap tapping at the door.
Not to over jingle you, but hit it, bitch.
Drusilla, you filling my heart with dread, and still I'm led right back to you.
Drusilla is the queen of vampires in this reality, which feels correct.
Correct. Incredibly correct. We know that in all realities, it seems Drusilla keeps dollies. You love to see it.
Good. Yes. Good. Drusilla's got a question for Anya, and terrible news. Terrible news. Never, if you are living in a world with vampires, never put two names on the deed.
Yeah.
Just simply don't do it, because clearly Anya made that decision and it is not doing her any favors at this moment in time.
I feel like I know too much to guess here, but I'm sure that at home, well, no one's guessing, because these were dumped as a binge listen, so everyone actually can have access to the answers. But us fools, we're still going spoiler free, okay?
Spoiler free, baby.
But definitely have a few names on my list of who I think is on this fucking deed with Anya. Whoever it is betrayed her and already let Drusilla in. So here she comes.
Eek. And she's got one question.
So, my question. Answer, or I'll have your guts for garters. I'll eat you up. And your little dog, too. Please! Tell me which. Where is Cordelia Chase?
Bum, bum,
now,
bum.
I'm just looking up garters really quick. Okay, let's see.
Just garters?
I just feel like, well, yeah, because I was like, all right, guts, garters, what's
like
the sort of like practical application?
I think you stretch an intestine nice and taut.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying I get that. I just feel like they'll be all slippery, you know. I don't know how well they're holding up your over the knee stockings.
Maybe you can like cure them, you know, like sort of like a leather working kind of a vibe to make some nice like
for those of you
leather garters
who might be listening who have made guts into garters. Please email us at hello@bufferinccast.com.
Guts into garters is also like next generation of eyeballs to entrails. So, you know, very much here for that. I'm trying to think. I'm like flipping through the Buffy Rolodex of my mind for Drusilla Cordelia interactions in, you know, our universe. And I just can't think of... Like, don't yell at me, all of the people who just pulled their cars over to email me that one time that Drusilla did this iconic thing that I have just forgotten. But I don't have anything immediately. Did a Drusilla Cordelia Googling give you anything, Jenny? Listen.
Please don't yell at us. I have a baby and I haven't slept in 9 months. And Kristen
and I have a business partner
hasn't
who
remembered
has a baby.
anything in 42 years.
Also that. I would love to, I'm sure that there has to be something, or maybe we're geniuses and there's not, but hello@bufferinccast.com. So we did it. There's a couple of things that we still have to cover though, Jenny, aren't there?
Yeah, Kristen, something happened in this episode that inspired me to propose a new superlative, which is, what is your favorite audio of this episode?
Well, I wasn't prepared for this question, so I will just say that. But I'm going to give you 3 answers.
3?
They're not my favorites. I'm just thinking out loud. My therapist says I'm somebody who needs to talk to process. Okay.
Yeah. Footage not found.
So, okay. I love the effect that's given to Buzz's voice. I know that's not like a standalone sound effect, but
sure.
I just think it's really cool. I think that these sound effects around grape soda are absolutely soaring, doing incredible work. And then I had highlighted a sound effect to talk about, which I think is very fun. And it's the sound effect that happens in between Cordelia's last line in the one reality and Anya's first line in the alternate reality. And in the script, it says this is a music cue that we will come to associate with switching realities. So A, I really liked it. And B, I thought it was really cool to like come to the table and think, okay, we need to think of something that we will use, because the back and forth between these realities has got to be a massive thing. I mean, it seems to be the thing. So I'll put that one as my pick for favorite in episode 1.
I love it. Okay. My favorite audio in the episode is when Clem and Indira are alone in the car and they're chatting, and Clem is talking about how his ears are floppy and soft and how he uses baby bottom lotion to keep them supple.
Yes.
And then he flaps his ears. And listen, I live in a household where there is a furry little guy flapping his ears all the time. And while he and Clem don't have like identical ears, the sound of Frank's ears like predispose me to really, really appreciate this particular sound design. The ear flapping.
We should keep a list of these, Jenny, because if we get to talk to the folks who worked on the sound effects, it would be really, really fun to find out some of the things they used to capture these sounds.
Good thing I introduced this superlative.
Yeah, great work.
Speaking of both supers and latives, I don't know what I mean by that. If you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. If you know, you know. Let us shut you in the trunk of our car and drive on over to the Sexual Tension Awards, where we will then let you out and allow you to vote.
Sexual Tension Award.
Welcome back to the first installment of Buffyverse Sexual Tension Awards in a year.
Wow.
Friends, it's been a year. Things have been percolating. And here we are to reap the benefits and sip the brew. Just thinking about coffee. If you're new here, which seems so strange, but if you're new here,
but you're still welcome.
What happens. You're very welcome. All are welcome. For every episode that we talk about, we select some pairings or some triplings or some combos of individuals, entities, beings, inanimate objects, concepts that
anyone may apply.
Yeah, some kind of gravitational pull between them that cannot be denied. And then we let you, the listener, vote and tell us which deserves to be on top of the underworld or whatever
the hell I said.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. In slot number 1, it's pretty straightforward. They're not pulling any punches. They're getting like right down to double entendre. It's Miranda and Spike.
Fuck yeah.
The noms in slot number 2. What can you say about them?
I mean, I would say they have an effervescence, if anything.
They have an effervescence. I would say they take their simple pleasures where they can find them. It's Clem and grape soda.
A love that knows no bounds.
Speaking of a love that knows no bounds, in slot number 3, some say that a long, long, long wait, possibly flavored by marination in like a general sense of injustice and frustration, can produce the most intense love of all.
Mm-hmm. The greatest love of all, in fact.
The greatest love of all, indeed. Which applies to slot number 3, and what is inside of it? The return of Cordelia Chase and all of us.
Crowd cheers. Audience stands up.
And 11th hour edition in slot number 4. Can't believe we missed this before we started taping. It's alternate reality Spike and Cordelia, who I am increasingly certain have boned thoroughly.
Yeah.
And congrats to them.
Congrats to them and to all of us.
Truly. So, if you want to vote in our Sexual Tension Award polls, please navigate your way on over to bufferingcast.com/STA, which will take you to this episode's Sexual Tension Awards poll. Vote wisely. Vote early. Vote often. You can only vote once. In fact, usually our polls are up for 6 days between episodes, but friends, we are moving at a slightly accelerated pace for these first couple of episodes. Treats more quickly than usual. So please hurry over to that URL because the poll will only be up for a few days.
Hell yeah.
Sexual Tension Award.
Well,
I can't
Jenny,
believe it.
we're back, baby.
I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased.
I am too. This
must be what Vin Diesel feels like every time there is a new Fast and Furious movie. He's like, I can't fucking believe it. I can't believe it.
I have to say that it is like, I mean, clearly we have been simmering in this universe for years at this point. And we're excited to talk about it. But I don't think I realized until we started talking about it how fun it was going to be to have all of the backstory that we have in such minute detail, like it's very fun to be able to talk with you specifically, Jenny, who I've journeyed with for 6 years through the series about this new chapter. I should say, too, we haven't said in the pod, but in case you don't know, the continuity here, as far as we understand it, is the TV shows only. It does not include the Dark Horse comics run. So in case you have questions about that.
What? And based on the issues we read most recently of the Dark Horse comics, that feels like a little bit of a relief right now.
Yeah, thank God. But I had that question. I think we both did going in, like, where's the last point? And so far as we understand it, it is the television series alone.
I'm excited. I can't wait to find out what happens next. You all are going to be ahead of us. We're going to be going one episode at a time, but I'm sure you're all out there binging and getting the whole story.
Oh my God.
Don't spoil us.
Yeah, don't
be
spoil
nice.
us. Yeah, I'm actually about to get in my car right now and listen to episode number 2. So I'm pretty stoked to find out what happens.
Incredible. Well, Kristen. It brings me even more pleasure than usual to say I'm Jenny Owen Youngs. And when I'm not watching or listening to Buffy, I'm usually making music. I have a brand new album out called Avalanche. You can find it on your favorite digital music platform or where you buy records. You can give me a shout on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Jenny Owen Youngs. And you could come see me on tour. Actually, tour for me starts today. This very day that this episode goes up, I'll be playing in New York, in DC, Philly, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. And I will be bringing along friend of the pod, editor of the pod, John Mark Nelson, who's going to be opening and also playing some songs with me. He is the absolute best. We are going to have such a glorious time, and I hope you can be there with us, having a glorious time as well.
Fuck yeah. I am Kristen Russo. When I am not watching Buffy or The X-Files, listening to Slayers, etc., I'm often working with LGBTQ communities. You can learn more about me and my work at KristenNoline.com.
Buffering the Vampire Slayer is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and newly TikTok at BufferingCast. We made a viral TikTok, well, viral for us. we had our biggest TikTok the other day. So come on, join us over there and hear me sing lyrics on the fly to a major key version of the X-Files theme song, should you dare. You can email us at hello@bufferingcast.com.
Past Kristen saying, boy, future Kristen, I hope that you made a TikTok to the Cordelia jingle by the time the Slayers Audible series debuted. Did I do it? Only future Kristen
Only one way to
knows.
find out.
If you want to support us and the work we do, the best way to do that is become a patron of ours. We've got some really fun things happening. We are in the middle of Pumpkin Spike Autumn. We're watching all sorts of Spike-related episodes together with a whole crew of Buffy-loving people. But we also have a ton of other fun things happening there. A book club, which I mentioned in episode. Jenny does some very fun concerts. There's one coming up in November where we're going to play a lot of Spike songs, etc., etc. Bufferingcast.com. You can just click on Patreon and join us.
This episode was produced by Kristen Russo, Jenny Owen Youngs, and LaToya Ferguson, with support from our consultant, Mackenzie McDade. It was edited by John Mark Nelson, and till next time. Till next time.
I couldn't even hear you, Jenny. Your pitch got so high you went off the Zoom mic.
Till next time.
Woo!
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you know what lies within nothing?
No.
Do you know where it ends? Do you want to know?
Yes. Counterbalance, a high fantasy audio drama. Season 2, coming 15th of October 2023. Learn more on trilunas.com.